All right, looks like we're live. Hopefully this is working correctly. This is the first time we're doing this, so this is our Lux Talk About That Q&A. We're going to try to probably do one of these a month, maybe to begin with. We'll see how many people we get that kind of tune in and ask questions. We're also going to archive the videos, so we're going to plan to have a topic each time to talk about. Today, what I want to talk about is the question I get the most frequent now is the Lux truck and the utility Bodywerks and how the Lux truck program works and kind of how the options are with that and how we're moving forward with that, and has to deal with some of the truck shortage stuff that we all know about, how hard it is to get a truck currently, those types of things. So if you've ever seen my card, one side is Lux Trucks, which is everything you need to know about that on our luxhaulers.com website. The other side of my card is Utility Bodywerks. So we are one and the same. We've been Utility Bodywerks for 22-ish years, 21 years, and we've always had the business model of upfitting the truck that you, the customer, provide to us. So that's how we've always done this Bodywerks. When we were acquired by Luxe about a year and a half ago or so, we switched gears a little bit. We kept the Bodywerks direct to the customer, the truck they provide. You get to pick all the options. As long as it's basically in our wheelhouse, so to speak, we'll do the upfit. We'll add whatever you want to the truck for the most part. The Lux truck side of things is still the Utility Bodywerks doing the upfit, but branding the truck as a turnkey truck. And kind of the whole idea behind that is we've taken a lot of the guesswork out of it for you as the customer. So we're going to present you a truck that's complete. You'd be the first owner, ready to go. You don't have as much customization options on the Lux truck. One, because it's already highly upfitted with options, very similar to the limited cab. We've started with the Ram 5500s, which you'll see on the luxhaulers.com website. We are looking into, hopefully in the future, we want to expand and add specifically the Ford F550. If we have enough time here, I'll kind of dive into why we're doing that, those chassis specifically. They work really well with the Utility Bodywerks bed, our product, the turnkey truck, just the weight of the bed. And then again, with our sister company, the luxury fifth wheels, the Lux fifth wheels that the RV factory builds, the Lux RV factory. So at the end of the day, we're really trying to pair all those things together in the best possible package with the OEM chassis that are available. So going into the Lux truck stuff more specifically. So we had ordered 12 chassis June, July of 21. Now here we're in February, and we've only received 4 of those trucks. And most likely that's all we're going to get. The status of those trucks hasn't changed. We've been informed by the dealer that we ordered these trucks from that it most likely that Ram will not fill those orders. So you'll see when you go to luxhaulers.com website that it shows that those trucks are ordered or can order. They kind of are, they kind of aren't. That's where we're kind of on the fence. We don't know for sure if we're going to get those trucks or not. Now, once we find out for sure that we will not be receiving those chassis, those 22 Ram 5500s, or the 2022 Ram 5500s, there's 8 more of them that would be coming. Then we'll change that status, and then we'll be looking at when we can start to order 2023s and see what kind of numbers we're going to have for that. But the response to the Lux truck has just been overwhelmingly positive. So much that people call that, they want a turnkey truck. Obviously, the market's, if you have a truck to sell, it's great, but we don't have those trucks right now. So guys see those options on those limited Ram 5500s and they say, well, I want that. Well, that's awesome because we can still do that. That's what the Bodyworks has done again for 21 plus years. So just because the Lux truck is upfit in a certain way doesn't make it proprietary to our turnkey trucks. You can literally get the same verbatim options on a Ram truck that you would order from the dealer. And that's the other thing that I wanted to touch on. That's what we're going to touch on here is that the fleet orders, like we did, the 12 trucks, the 8 that we talked about that we're most likely not going to receive, that window of ordering was closed long ago. Now there is still allocation from what I'm being told from our local dealer that you can still order your Ram 5500 from the dealer's retail order, and then you would drop ship it to me to get the outfit done. Literally the same options as the Lux truck if that's what you so choose. So the Bodyworks side of it allows you that level of detail and customization where you could start with just our standard body, just the way it comes, and it's installed, painted to match, and now your truck is turnkey that you've provided at around $26,000 for a 60 CA Elite. Where we're setting on the Lux truck upfit, those options that are normally on the Lux truck, if you just call and say, well, I want that done in my truck, well, that's no problem. We've got all that figured out. It's the same pricing, whether it was going on our turnkey truck or if you order those options and put it on the truck that you provided. So we're talking that upfits generally around $50,000 is basically what the Lux truck options end up being. And we're talking air ride suspension front and rear, the big trailer saver air ride hitch with the third airbag, spray and bed liner, additional rigid work lights, monotone paint. Pretty much everywhere that we can paint a surface, it's matching the cab. So it's very much like a limited upfit at that point that matches the cab. So if you're spending around $90,000 on the chassis cab, most likely you aren't going to be looking to really skimp out on the bed details or the ride quality. That's where the Kelderman Air Ride's amazing for the ride and the way that the truck handles and maintaining ride height and everything that goes along with those options like that. So that's really was my big key point today with the Q&A is wanted to have a video out there that really explains that if you like the turnkey truck, that's awesome. Right now, they're not technically available. We'll be sure to get the word out there if we do know that we're going to get the trucks. But right now we're just kind of in limbo if we're going to get those. So I just wanted to make a video that explains that like the Lux truck, you can send the same truck. All of the options that we have ordered the Ram 5500 with are listed on the luxhaulers.com website. So when you go and look at those Rams, the inventory, every code, every line item, like the nitty gritty details that the Ram dealer is going to be privy to, that if you go to a commercial dealer that understands these trucks, he's going to know exactly what all those line items are. Now, if you say, well, I have a Ram dealer in my area, but I don't really want to work with them, or they're not really commercial. That's where I would refer you to Bart Templeton at Sorg Dodge here in Goshen, Indiana, which is just one city over. It's about 15 minutes. That's where all of our trucks come into. Or you can definitely order it from a dealer that you've worked with, whatever, shop around, see what you find, see how Bart does for you. Bart's a great guy. Bart is exceptional for us because one, he knows his trucks very, very well. He knows them inside out, top to bottom, and he's very familiar with our upfit. And they do, just like any other dealer, they're going to offer financing, a way to purchase a whole turnkey truck to them. So you can either buy the upfit direct from us, give us the $5,000 down payment that gets you on the production schedule. As of the time of shooting this video, we're about 12 weeks out to completion. So from the time we receive your order the time we complete it right now, estimated about 12 weeks. We typically need the truck here 6 to 8 weeks. So if you call in, give them your down payment, but the truck's not going to be here for 16 weeks, right? That's going to push that timeline because obviously we can't really get anything completed until we have the chassis. We really don't like to build the beds complete before the chassis actually shows up. And there's multiple reasons why that works really well for us. One, we don't want to whip work in progress sitting around that we've put time and effort into, or even sent to paint, and then it gets damaged because the truck's not here, sitting in our inventory, or we weld it up and then leave it before we take it to paint, and it sits around and takes up space basically. So we try to build the beds pretty much like if we get an update that the truck's going to be here next week or something, then we can start on that and kind of expedite that. But it really takes about 6 to 8 weeks. It really depends on the modification. So some of the trucks that you've seen on our YouTube videos, like the white Ram that we just did, the 84 with the Kelderman bumper, the trailer saver hitch and all that, just the level of customization may push that timeline. We may be looking 12 to 16 weeks or something. It just depends on availability of parts. That's another thing. So if we're looking at Kelderman air rides, the ATTA auxiliary fuel tanks that we use, those are usually 6 to 7 week lead time. So we want to make sure that, we plan for that as well.
Got a question.
Okay.
From Randy Hunt. He said, "Hi, Corey. Why no end gate on that unit?"
No end gate on the...
Maybe the 85 or the one you were just talking about with the Kelderman.
I don't remember if Cassidy's does. So, I mean, in general...
the Dodge 5500 Ram.
Okay. Yeah. So the turnkey trucks, the ones that we produce turnkey, those definitely do have a tailgate. That is included as a turnkey truck. That is an option basically that we build into that build. And that's part of how we get to the $50,000 upfit basically. But our Elite 60 standard does not come with the tailgate. That's correct. It doesn't come standard at the beginning. So the way the Elite 60, Elite 84, those numbers on the end of that are all based on cab to axle, by the way. So an Elite 60 is for a 60 CA chassis cab, and Elite 84 is for 84 cab to axle. The one that went to Transwest. Transwest typically never orders a tailgate. Even on their big trucks, when we were doing the Summit haulers, they never requested a tailgate. So that's why we don't do them. They don't ask for them. They don't want to pay for them. So we don't put them on, I guess, is, the long and short of that, because it is an option. So the 26,300 where we're at on the Elite 60, without a tailgate, it's open fuel fills, it's rubber fender flares. So it's like the most economical way to produce our bed and still have it ready to go for the road. So you have DOT, you have your lights, turn signals, everything like that. What is it, Ben?
Can it be added later?
Oh, the tailgate? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. We could really probably just send that out as a parts order. If you could paint it, if you want it painted, we can. So we have a diamond plate option. We have a smooth painted as an option, or we can do a smooth painted with a stainless steel accent. So you probably want to match up to the bumper that you have. Yeah, it can. So yeah, right, for sure. It can be added later. Basically, it's 4 bolts. You'd have to drill 2 holes. Actually, 6 holes. You'd have to drill 4 holes for the mounts for the pieces that the tailgate slide into. It slides in. And then there'd be 2 holes that you would drill on the tailgate itself through those brackets that pin it in, and that's what keeps it latched. So our standard tailgate is a drop-in, slide-in type that pins. We have done a hinged tailgate. It's a little more complex. It takes little rubber bump stops so it doesn't swing down and hit things. Some barn door latches that we end up putting holes in the sides of the compartment, which aren't really like weather tight that way. I don't like the idea of really trying to introduce moisture getting into the bed, but Thanks for the question. Appreciate it. That's awesome. Hopefully we get more of that and we can answer these kind of questions that people have. They'll see the video and they'll be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. That's why there's not a tailgate. But really, I mean, I think that's pretty much everything that I had planned for the original Q&A. In the beginning, that's right. So I did touch a little bit on, we've got time. So why the Ram 5500? Why not a Ram 3500 or a Ram 3500 pickup or anything like that? So the biggest reason that we picked the Ram is that the Ram is available in a 19.5 gross vehicle weight rating, which, okay, that's not really impressive, Corey. That's pretty much all chassis gaps. Correct. That is very correct. The thing that the Ram has over the Chevy chassis cabs and the Ford chassis cabs is it's capable up to 43,000 pound gross combined weight rating, which is the weight of the truck, the weight of whatever you're towing together. So the pickups do that really well. Pickups have amazing gross combined weight rating. They are all limited in that class 3 truck classification at roughly 14,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating. So they struggle in the payload portion. Now, I'm not here to say that, you can't put a 6,000 pound pin weight trailer on your pickup. That's up to you, whatever you want to do. Now, on paper, is that truck going to be exceeding its payload? Absolutely. So at the end of the day, especially with our Lux fifth wheels, our luxury fifth wheels, and pairing our bed on there. Now that's where we kind of have a whole nother side piece, is that our bed is heavier than like a factory pickup bed. So the guys that want to put our bed on their pickup and pull our coach, I typically recommend we don't do that. It's just compounding or exasperating an issue of not enough payload or just enough payload with the factory bed. And then you run out of payload by putting our bed on there, or you might be like literally at or slightly over. But then my biggest argument is, what are you going to do with all those storage compartments? What are you going to put in there because you're out of payload? And what if you want an auxiliary fuel tank? So the Ram really allows us to put our bed on there, pull our biggest luxury fifth wheels, no problem, and still have payload left over. The Rams that we build, typically they're around 10,500 pounds is what the completed truck weighs. We're talking a 19.5 gross vehicle weight rating. So we have about 8,500, 9,000 pounds normally as payload. So you have the capability of adding up to a 114 gallon fuel tank that we offer, because by the time you fill that with fuel and the weight of the tank itself, you're probably adding 1,000 pounds of truck. You're not going to be able to do that with a pickup and still stay in the payload rating. Then once we looked at that, the specs were the biggest thing that we wanted. The Ford is close, and that's why we decided that we probably will try to offer a Ford for next year for the 23s. Ford and its maximum capacity is 37,500 for its gross combined weight rating, at least currently for the 22s. And that's using that 488 rear end gear for the max towing capacity. And again, it shares the same 19.5 gross vehicle weight rating as the Ram. So its payload is identical. Its gross combined weight rating is, it's like around 5,000 or 6,000 pounds less. So that's, again, you're left with, one of our biggest coaches, you're left with like maybe 2,000 pounds that you can put on the truck. Now you go and put the big fuel tank. Now you're down to 1,000, put a couple people in the cab, start filling up some compartments. You still have a threshold with that truck, we feel, that would be acceptable. We just don't want to market something to you and throw it out there and be like, oh yeah, well, by the way, you're exceeding the truck, but we didn't think about it. We've tried to think of everything that you're going to need towing these. The trucks that we order in, we even get the roadside safety kits. So you've got triangles, I believe it's a first aid kit and a fire extinguisher in the truck as well.
Did you see Randy's follow-up?
No, I didn't.
Is that an industry recognized weight through DOT in the USA and Canada?
So I'm guessing he's talking about the weight of the truck, like when it's finished.
I would assume.
So we use a certified cat scale printout that goes with the upfit. So I guess I don't um, know exactly what the criteria is for the DOT. As an upfitter, we're required to produce our tag and that weight of the vehicle. So I would have to look into that for sure. Truck and trailer. So is it industry standard recognized weight through DOT? I guess I don't know the combined weight. So that's the weight that Ram on their website. That's what they've published. Is a truck can tow up to, as a gross combined weight rating of 43,000 pounds. I'm not exactly sure, how they certify that or where they come up with that number. I don't know that for sure. It's something I could look into. Sure, Aaron can make a note for me. We can check that out. Maybe put it in the next video or somehow put that out there. Um, we were talking, yeah, the Ford and the Ram. The big difference is interior as well. Just by default, the Ram has an amazing limited interior. So you're talking heated and cooled seats, leather, which the Lariat value package for the Ford F550 is going to come with heated leather, but not cooled seats, I believe. And the rear seats are not heat, I don't think either. So the Ram is definitely heat. Ford has updated with a bigger screen, so it's similar to the Rams. I still think the interior overall in the Ram Limited definitely beats out the value package of the Lariat, but we definitely get a lot of diehard Ford guys that want a Ford, and we still think that it would be a good fit. So we want to look into doing some Fords next year. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the question. Kind of got it answered, but we'll definitely look into it. Of how they actually get those. I know that in general, I mean, even when you're looking at, something like the Good Sam towing guide and stuff, and you're looking in there at that stuff, I find this thing fairly confusing to use because, all the information starts at the front. And then you got to go back and like reference that every time you're trying to figure out these numbers that they're using in there. And even the manufacturer's websites aren't really clear as far as I'm concerned. It'd be nice if they just publish a number. Um, the pickups are nice that they, from the factory, they have a payload. So that's the other thing. So when guys are asking, will my pickup work for this or that or the other, the first place we want to look is right inside the driver's door. And you open it up there to the right on the pillar is going to be a placard that's going to tell you maximum occupants and cargo cannot exceed X. Like a Ford F450, it seems some at 4,799 pounds. I mean, there's just no payload left over when you're, talking about a heavy trailer. And especially, again, back to the problem where it's exasperating with our bed because it's heavier than the factory bed. Okay. Is it noticeable going to 550? So I'm not sure. Are we talking about the weight rating difference, that gross combined, the big difference there? Would it be noticeable? So, like from a towing standpoint, something to really remember where the chassis cabs and the pickups really differentiate themselves is the chassis cabs across the board, whether it's GM, Ford, or Ram. The chassis cabs are a workhorse. They're designed to be there and stay there for a long time and every day, day in and day out, do the job. They're not a race car. They're not gonna be the first truck to the finish line, basically, if we're talking about just speed of getting there. Oh, sure. Yeah, exactly. So if we're talking a 3,500 pickup versus a Ram 5,500 chassis cab, and like a drag race or something, that 3,500 is going to whoop on that 5,500. It's got more horsepower and torque. At the end of the day, it has more horsepower and torque, even though it has a taller rear end gear, like a 373 or 410 or something. The Ram to get up there is going to be like a 488 gear. So up a 7% grade with max weight, it's 40 mile an hour versus a pickup might do 60 mile an hour. The 5500 is going to do an amazing job of holding that max. If you're max out on that gross combined weight rating, if you're near that 40,000 and plus pounds, it's going to hold the grade great. Handling the air ride suspension is amazing. We do the air ride on them. They ride great. They maintain ride height. The engine brake and stuff is great. Where I think that the 5500 beats out the 3500, and maybe that's not necessarily a handling thing. It would give you more stability with a wider track front axle, but the 5500 chassis cab is going to have a wider front axle stance, and that allows them to turn tighter, like a 55-degree turning radius versus like 30 or 35 on the 3500. Actually, either way, 3500 pickup or 3500 chassis cab also. Those are going to be a narrower front axle. So you're going to be able to turn better with the Ram 5500. And I would sure think you'd get a little more stability out of that wider track front axle. From the factory, if you didn't do the air ride on the 5500, I mean, the thing's going to ride like a dump truck. There's a lot of leaf springs on the back, and I mean, rightly so. It has a massive gross vehicle weight rating. That's why they do that. A lot of people sometimes confuse that a 5500 is just like a replacard 3500 pickup, or it's a pickup without the bed from the factory. They're literally two total different frames that go under those trucks. I mean, the only thing they really share in common is the cab for the most part. Again, it's a total different front axle. The rear axle is massive. It's a square tube axle tubes. It's a front load ring and pinion assembly that all drops in from the front. Bigger brakes, even the engine, even though it's still just a Cummins 6.7, it's not the 6.7 that's in the pickup. It's different. It's a commercial grade truck. Transmission's different. And the rails, that not only is the frame completely different so that it can be built on easier for an upfitter like us, is they're narrower, they're beefier. So I don't have real world experience driving both to know how one would handle compared to the other one. But I would sure think the 5500, especially the air ride front and rear, is going to handle it better, because it's just made for that kind of weight. But again, I don't think a pickup is a bad choice. We don't recommend it with our upfit, because you start to push that payload. You're welcome. Thanks for the question. Awesome questions. I think I guess I'm over time. We're shooting for 20 minutes. It's 28, but it's probably a pretty good place to stop then, I guess. Thanks for everybody that tuned in, checked it out. Hopefully people see this, it answers questions, it makes sense. Again, give me a call. Truck expert here at Lux. I'm not, the end all be all of everything truck, but I definitely know our product inside and out, upside down. I've literally spent the first 6 to 8 months here welding the bodies, building them, constructing them, installing the air suspensions that we upfit, the Kelderman air rides, done the final finish, literally bolted on all the way down to I take every one of these trucks to the scale, test drive them, that kind of thing. So I'm happy to answer a phone call and answer any questions you got. So as always, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Lux, get trucking.